Hey friends, Shay here. So as you saw from the title, today we're going to overhaul my physical TBR. So a lot of the books here I haven't really touched in the year of 2023. I haven't done an overhaul since late 2022. So that tells me that a lot of these books I've lost interest in, or I've been paying too much attention to the new shinies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through these today. Anything that I'm on the fence about when I read the backs, I'm actually going to read the first line to see if it catches my attention. If it does, it stays. If not, it goes. So that's kind of how this is going to work. I'm going to go ahead and get started on the bottom row and we'll work our way to the top, because a lot of these historical fictions I haven't really been in a historical romance mood, but my historical fictions I've been wanting a little more romance, so I see this coming back in 2024 for me to at least read a few of them. So I don't think I'll touch these too much because I've really culled through all the historical fiction romances that I had on my TBR last year, and I got rid of a ton. So these are pretty much the authors I know I like, and so that's all I kept. So I don't see that changing too much. So we'll start at the bottom and work our way up. Alrighty, so ones that I got rid of from this first shelf are The Hotel Nantucket by Lynn Hildebrand, Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow, Book of Night by Holly Black, The Bones of Ruin by Sarah Raleigh, Dating Dr. Dill by Anisha Sharma, because I'd most likely listen to this on audio or just borrow it from the library, Fiona and Jane by Jean Chen Ho. When it comes to this one, it says irreverent, and usually when books are describing themselves that way, I end up not enjoying them. So I decided to nix that one. Georgie All Along by Kate Claiborne. I've heard this is not a great place to start with Kate Claiborne, and I think if I wanted a copy of this, I'd get it in this normal trade size, so decided to let this one go. A Broken Blade by Melissa Blair. I've tried to read this. I was bored out of my mind, so it's gonna go. The Rewind by Alison Wynne Scotch. I think with this one, again, I would want it in the smaller size, and I'd most likely borrow it from the library if I wanted to read it. The Fortune of Jaded Women by Carolyn Hune. This one just wasn't gripping me, so it's gonna go. And then I've got Burnt Sugar by Avni Doshi, which I've had for a couple of years. And again, I think I'd rather like check out an audiobook, something from the library when it comes to this one, so I'm gonna let this one go. So that's a pretty good unhaul for the first shelf. Let's move up a shelf and see what happens. Okay, so not so many went away off of that shelf, but I do have The Forbidden by Jodi Ellen Malpass. I've kind of grown out of her writings. I think anything I would want from her, I would either get digitally or check out from the library. The Shadow in the Glass, again, I think this would be a library checkout audio for me. I'm finally giving up on the Complete Arrows trilogy. I have owned this since like the first year I had my channel. I keep not reading it. I've heard the first book's great, the rest kind of drops off, so I think I'm just done trying with this one. How Music Works by David Byrne. I had initially got this for a video project, which I have since scrapped, so I think I'm gonna let this one go. I have 3 works of a particular author I'm not reading from anymore, so those are gonna go. Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake. I've heard the writing is way too pretentious in this one. I have tried to read this multiple times this year, and it hasn't happened, so this one's gonna go. The Unbelievable Lightness of Being by Milan Kundera. I have no interest in reading Kundera anymore. There was a minute where I did, and just reading the synopsis on the back of this one, I don't know why I picked it up anyway, because it has cheating, which is one of my least favorite tropes ever, so this one's gonna go. 99% Mine by Sally Thorne. I have this on audio, so I think if I'm going to read it, it's going to be on audio. I've tried a couple of times and I didn't really enjoy it, so I think this is just a Sally Thorne that's not for me. PC Cast, Goddess of the Sea. This is a Hades and Persephone story, but I've heard the rest of the series isn't great, so I don't necessarily want to just read a first book in a series. I would want to continue, so I'm going to let this one go. And then I have Woman on Fire by Lisa Barr. Again, this is one I think I would just check out from the library, read once, and not want to read ever again. So that brings our total to 23 so far. We're going to do this top shelf here, and then I've got a stack over to the side. I think I'm going to keep most of the stack, but I'm going to do those at the same time. Alright, so barely anything went away with this particular one. So I have 3 more books. I have The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abudallah. Again, this is one I think I'd rather like check out on audio, so I'm going to go ahead and let this one go. I've got The Path of Thorns by A.G. Slater, which I picked up on a whim, but I'm no longer interested in. And then Badass Habits by Jen Sincero. I like this series a lot, but I never come back to them, so there's no sense in me keeping this. Plus, clearly, I've gotten it, I got it over 2 years ago because I've worked at Barnes & Noble for 2 years, and I haven't bought a book at Target since. So, there's that. So that makes for 26 books that I'm getting rid of off of my physical TBR without reading. I feel okay about that, because some of that is, 3 of those were an author that I have decided I'm not reading anymore, and some things like that. And just going through, my style and taste changes over time, so these books are kind of indicative of that. Indicative, I think is how you'd say that. And then one book I found was actually a book I've already read. I don't know how it ended up on my TBR shelf, but in doing so, I no longer have a stack on the side, which feels really good. Everything's fitting on the shelf. I do have some other books on my TBR that are out in the library, but I know those are ones I'm actively interested in, so I will migrate those in here eventually. But I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you're here just because you love me, leave me a book stack emoji. Do you ever go through your TBR and just unhaul things you're no longer interested in? If you are, I'm very curious. Tell me your process down below. This process worked really well for me today, and I've only kept things I'm actively interested in on my TBR, even though it's still a lot of books. So with that said, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.